2 out of 3 economists are forecasting a recession to happen in the year of 2023. So how might that affect the housing market? That is what we're talking about today.
I keep it real, I keep it real, I keep it real, just keep it real.
Hey guys, it's Sam Hartman with Coldwell Banker, keeping it real estate here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And as always, we're here to bring some clarity to some of the headlines and the happenings in the real estate world so that consumers can gain the confidence that it takes to make great decisions in real estate for them and their families. And today we're talking about a recession, how recessions affect the housing market, and what we're projecting here going forward. And so today we're talking about 2/3 of economists projecting a recession in 2023. And so recessions are usually accompanied by conservative consumer behavior. So consumers tend to save their money more, not spend as much, not take as much big swings, big steps, big risks when it comes to finances. And so maybe buying a house, selling a house might be one of those things that has a direct effect on consumer behavior when it comes to being in the midst of a recession. So what I'd like to do is look back over the history of recessions in the United States and how the housing market correlated or reacted to those recessionary times. A saying I love is that history does not repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And so what that means is we're not necessarily looking for an exact replica of what happened in the past to happen today, but it can help paint a picture of some of the dynamics that are happening and how the response might be in the housing market. So if we look at the last 6 recessionary periods and how the housing market responded, you can see only 2 of the last 6 recessionary times did housing actually have depreciating home values during those times. Now in 2008, that is a drastic depreciating, and a lot of people are going to point to 2008 as kind of one of the most recent recessions in mind, and it's kind of understandable. Here's the thing. The millennial generation is the largest cohort of buyers in the market right now, and guess what? Millennials were graduating their college education right around this 2008, 2009 time frame when this recession was hitting. So we are scarred, we are bruised, we are battered from the experience we went through in this timeline because it was a hard time to get a job. It was really hard to ever consider buying a house because we couldn't get the jobs. The recession wasn't there, the incomes weren't there. So that time has really scarred the millennial generation as they now are really truly in their prime home buying years. But the positive news is that recessionary times do not mean that the housing market's going to take a substantial hit. That 2008 recession, that was a recession that was explicitly caused by the mortgage and housing industries. That's what led to the recession. So it makes sense that in 2008, that recession led to more depreciating home values. Now, here's something I want to point out about our Fort Wayne, Indiana real estate market. In 2008, the average home price appreciation across the US was almost 20%. In Fort Wayne, Indiana, our depreciation during that recession was only 5%. And this is one of the things I love about our local real estate market is that we are very conservative. Our highs are not quite so high, but our lows are not as low. So Fort Wayne, Indiana, one of the biggest benefits about our real estate market is how conservative of a response we take to these recessionary times. Now, there's one other aspect to recessions that I want to look at, and that's how mortgage interest rates are being affected during recessionary times. Because let's be honest, mortgage rates is kind of the big hot button topic in today's market. It's no secret interest rates went from under 3% to over 7% and now are kind of hovering in the low 6%. So as we're looking at going into a recessionary time, what historically happens with interest rates. And we have some of that data here. So in the 80s, during these recessionary times, interest rates took huge 4%, 5% reductions as part of that recessionary time. Now, interest rates were also much, much higher in the 80s, so they had room to give and wiggle in that regard. But more recently, you can see 1% reductions, 0.6% reductions. It's a substantial reduction as you come out of these recessionary times because the government is trying to stimulate the economy. So those interest rates start to begin to reduce. And so that is a dynamic that we are looking at and really truly expecting to happen here going forward throughout 2023, maybe into 2024. We expect to see these mortgage rates begin to drop and reduce. By how much, that's yet to be seen. It's hard to say. But we are looking at those interest rates reducing from the 6%, hopefully getting into the low 5%, possibly starting with a 4 again. That would be great. But we aren't for certain about that, but we are expecting to see those interest rates begin to reduce throughout 2023. So those are two of the key recessionary things we're looking at with housing. What's going to happen to the home prices? Just because we're going into a possible recession does not mean home prices will decline. Actually, historically, home price appreciation has stayed strong and steady through recessionary times. But another benefit, a positive note, is what's going to happen with interest rates because of a recessionary time. And that does historically show that interest rates do reduce during recessionary times to help stimulate the economy, bring consumers back to the market, start consumers spending money again. And so that lower interest rate could very well drive us out of a recession in 2023, possibly going into 2024, and will start to put more demand pressure on the supply of homes, which then drives those prices right back up. So I think we're poised still in a great part and point here in real estate, where the demographics of home buyers and home sellers are so skewed still that there's more demand than there is supply, which is going to keep upward pressure on those housing prices for many years to come. Thanks again for joining me, guys. I want to make this information as helpful and valuable to you and meet you where you are in the process. So if this information was helpful to you, make sure you like, comment, share this information. If you know anyone that might also benefit from this information, make sure you share this video with them, have them reach out to me. I'm happy to help in any way I can you take next steps towards your dream of home ownership and accomplishing your real estate goals.
I keep it real, I keep it real, I keep it real, just keep it real.